Hey guys, Dave with First Place Auto Parts here. Thank you so much for joining me. At First Place Auto Parts, we are made up of a bunch of people that really like cars. I'll even go as far as to say is that we love cars. Look, we all have cars that we're working on, so this is more than just a business to us. It's a passion as well. But along with cars that we love, there's also cars that we love to hate. And look, hate's a strong word, but there are some cars that I wouldn't spill a beer on if it was on fire to put it out. So today, we're talking about cars that we really don't like. The next time you need parts for your American muscle car or truck, please check us out at First Place Auto Parts. We work really hard to bring the very best of the restoration performance parts that make them available to you so you can make your car go faster, look better, or stop harder. Now the first person, and we're going to call him Kyle, he's the guy that runs the show at First Place Auto Parts. He's a younger guy, he's in his mid-30s, he likes these cars, he's been in this industry a long time, so he has an appreciation for classic American muscle. But he doesn't own one and hasn't owned one yet. And what he told me was that he didn't like, the car that he hates the most are the Mustang IIs. And look, the Mustang IIs is a unique vehicle. Now most of these guys, when I asked them what car they hate, they gave me a laundry list of stuff. Kyle, his words were just that it was horrendous. And look, the Mustang II, it had a rough start. 1970 was when the US oil embargo happened and gas was getting really tight. Also, we started to run into things with more and more frequency in regards to the EPA in exhaust regulations in regards to the exhaust gases. So the Mustang II was developed in a time when things weren't looking good. There was a demand for smaller, more fuel efficient, more efficient, less polluting cars, and that's when Ford came out with the Mustang II. The Mustang II was offered from 1974 to 1978, and look, we used to call it sticker charged, and if you couldn't go fast, the old phrase was, if you can't go fast, you chromed it. What Ford did with the Mustang II was they added decals. There was the King Cobra, there was all kinds of versions of it, but the one thing that the Mustang II had was a lot of stickers. One of the things it didn't have was a lot of performance. Look, it's when the four-cylinder became a little more apparent, and even the 302 was available, but it was a pooch as well. And I think there's a lot of people out there that probably agree with this one, but if you own a Mustang II, look, they're unique in their own way, and they have their place in automotive history. And the next car that we love to hate, is not as a group, but as an individual, comes to us from Zach. And Zach is our social media coordinator. And Zach is a younger guy. He's in his early 20s and drives a Mini Cooper. Now, what makes Zach interesting in the Mini Cooper is that Zach is 6'12" and about 300 plus pounds. He's not a heavy guy, he's just a big guy. Seeing Zach in his Mini Cooper reminds me of watching the Shriners in a parade or a clown in a car. But Zach is a good guy, he's a car guy. But his take on what car he hates is kind of interesting, and I think it's gonna follow on the Mustang thing, because you're gonna find out. I'm gonna put my old man reading glasses on here. I'm gonna read you exactly what Zach said. And here it goes, okay? He says, okay, hear me out because this is gonna be a hot take. Ford didn't make a good Mustang after 71 until 2013. Excluding the notchback Fox bodies, those are sick. While Mustangs as a whole are a Me Too car, I think between the year range they lost themselves and that what the Mustang was all about. Most, not all but most in the range are underpowered, underdeveloped, and overrated. Now, Zach, that leaves out a lot of vehicles, a lot of cool Ford Mustangs and a lot of owners of those cars, especially the Fox bodies, which started in 1979. And then there's Dallas, and Dallas is our merchandiser, or one of our merchandisers, which means he's the guy that brings all the hot new products into the company that we have for you as you need for your cars. Now Dallas, he just graduated from college, so he kind of gives you an idea of his age. And I'm gonna go ahead and read what Dallas said, because I'm not even sure what this car was. But it's interesting, and it kind of shows you a little bit about the age of the guys and what cars they gravitate to and what cars are completely lost on them. Dallas says, the car I really don't like is the 2013 to 23 Maserati Ghibli.
Why?
He can't even read.
Ghibli, I think that's how you pronounce it. The original Ghibli, produced from 1967 to 73, was a two-door Grand Touring car. It was meant to be a luxurious sports coupe to travel long distances comfortably and quickly. It was elegant, fast, and beautiful for its time. Even when Maserati bought Ghibli back from 1992 to 1998, it was still a two-door sports car that was luxurious and quick. The 13 to 23 Ghibli is a car of its time, but does not follow the legacy of the generations before it. Another example is the Automotive brand recycling a name for sake of recycling without regard for the model itself. And guys, we've seen that with a lot of cars, whether it's the Challenger, the Camaro, or even the Mustang. The cars continually come back. Look at the GTO, for example. The recycling of brand names that did very well in the past to try to make the newer version become more appealing but tie to the legacy. And the car that I hate the most, and look, it really is because it did to the name, and that is the Shelby, made from 83 to 93. And that would be the GALH Omni, the Rampage, and also the Charger of that time. Look, these were front-wheel drive cars that were turbocharged that just were cheaply made. It was just applying the Shelby name to a vehicle that didn't deserve it, didn't deserve that name, and trying to push it out into the market. Look, not a ton of these things were made. They had a little bit of horsepower, but along with horsepower and front-wheel drive, you got torque steer. They rattled inside, the plastic was cheap even when they were new, and age hasn't done them any favor. So for me, that was one place where Chrysler really did that whole rebranding thing, or that badging, took someone's good name, applied it to a vehicle that was mediocre at best. Look, you don't see a lot of these things around today because they didn't survive, they wouldn't last. There's a couple out there that you'll see and they command a little bit of money, but the reality is they're more of an oddity, and that's one car that I just would never A, be caught dead in, or B, spill my beer on it, like I said earlier, if it was on fire. Again, if you own one, good for you. Look, it's definitely a period in time that's worth mentioning, but to be a Shelby, I'm not so sure about that one. Hey guys, if you disagree with anything that was shown today, and I have a feeling some of you will with the Mustangs in particular, please let me know in the comments section. Guys, until next time, keep the hammer down and keep it between the guardrails.